she can hear you.
so she can hear
Oh, I
us.
see.
All righty? So we're just getting started, and I was just about to call the roll, so your timing is perfect. Robin Lawson, chair, here. Margaret Russell,
Here?
Flanagan,
Marguerite Flanagan.
Bart
She's here.
Regan,
Here.
Lloyd Levitt.
I'm here.
Excellent.
All right, you good to go. Am on by phone.
Oh, and thank you. Thank you, Lloyd. And on speakerphone.
I'm here too.
And speakerphone, Jean Anderson. The first thing on our agenda is to approve the meeting minutes from June 12th. All in favor, please say aye.
Hi.
The next thing on our agenda is our favorite topic, Bart and Jean, which is handoff to new officers. Handoff to new officers has been, shall we say, a little bit rocky, because not only do we have turnover on our council, and just for anyone who is watching, we have a new secretary who is Jean, a new treasurer who is Bart, and I am back after having turned out as council chair. Was absent for a while, came back as a member but not chair. I'm back as chair, and things have changed radically since I was chair before, but I think I've pretty much gotten up to speed. There was some discussion in our last meeting in June about how I would reach out to Amy, and we would figure out the handoff from chair to chair. However, given the fact that Amy is, as we know, very busy and really was ready to leave, I was going to see how I could do on my own without her support. And so far so good, largely because I have support from you, including Bart. And so there was some confusion about the posting of the meeting agenda for our meeting 2 weeks ago. That just was a disconnect between Jean, and I don't want to put words in your mouth. It was a bit of a disconnect between Jean and Town Hall about, Jean, please chime in about whose responsibility it is.
Why don't you let me explain?
Please go.
Okay. I was notified of my extension as for the appointment to the board by the Board of Selectmen at the end of June and I am basically, on the council from July 1 through January 31st. I just wanted to get that out as well. I have access to basically post meetings and agendas on the town website, and I was able to acquire that at the end of June, prior to a change in personnel in the town's IT office. I met with Michelle in July, and we talked through various parts of her former role as the secretary for the council. And I also spoke with the town clerk, Gretchen Gerard, to clarify sort of posting of the agendas. I did send a request for posting a meeting and agenda notice for that September 11th meeting to the town clerk's office, and I had sent it actually in August. Because that posting requires a timestamp before it can be put on the municipal bulletin board, I assumed that it was on the town clerk to post it in a second place, which is on the town website. And that piece didn't get done as I was away. At this point, Robin did not have access to editing our subsection of the town website. And while the town clerk could have made that change for us, she basically is relying on the council to post it unless she is notified. So that is part of the history of that. So.
Thank you, Jean. And because by law, a meeting agenda for any public meeting has to be visible 48 hours in advance, as soon as I realized that it wasn't, I actually called Julie O'Brien, who was the executive assistant to the select board, because I needed the code to get in here. And in that conversation, I can't remember if it was before or after, but I realized that I could not, that the agenda wasn't visible. Julie said she couldn't find it either. And so at that point, as you, I believe, know, I had no choice but to cancel the meeting just because by law the public needs to be notified. So we completely fixed that. In the meantime, because the IT person left sometime in the spring or whatever, it's a long, long story, we won't go into it, but while Jean has access, as she just explained, Bart and I do not. I still don't have access to the town email address, but Bart and I'm gonna let you take it, Bart. Bart and I met with the new IT professional for the town last Tuesday. And we walked through the whole thing with him, and he is on it. So Bart, why don't you, if you don't mind, if you would explain.
Yeah, so I think, so we have a couple things that are going on. The first is that we weren't using a town email. We made our own, the Gmail. So it was Newbury Cultural Council, Newbury MA Cultural Council @gmail.com. And that's what we were using for all our communications. It's really not the best way to do things. And it took quite a while for us to do the handoff to be able to get access to the Gmail account. I now have access to the Gmail account. Despite Herculean efforts, we were still never able to get Robin connected to it. So we.
And that's a Google thing. That's just because it's not set up.
It's just difficult.
Yeah.
So we met with him, and we are going to move to the town website for our cultural council.
Email.
Yeah, or email rather. And so we're gonna have all that taken care of. We just need to get set up correctly with him. I still haven't done it. Now, part of that was I didn't get back to him in time, but he's gonna set us up. So we'll move towards that email. Once we have that, then I think things are gonna be a lot smoother in terms of communicating and all that. Then I think that's pretty much it. At that point, we'll have a repository of all the emails. I'll be able to take them out of the Gmail, put them into our Newbury account. So we'll meet all the requirements about records retention and all that. We'll also have access to places where we can store data, and I think we can actually probably share files and stuff. So you'll be able to see, like I keep a tracker of all of our grantees and what they requested, what they submitted for reimbursement and all that. So you'll be able to see all that.
Right.
But that's it. I mean, I think it's just a matter, it's just been a little clunky, but we'll get there.
Big monkey.
Technology wins again.
What John explained to us is that, well, this is really a non-issue, but the Gmail simply is not set up to be able to do what we were trying to do. The town email account will enable, is set up, is engineered for exactly our purposes. So when people rotate off the council, somebody else rotates in, it'll be seamless, which was certainly not the case with Gmail. And Gmail's not secure anyway, I mean, it was a workaround. So now we are going to be professional going forward.
How far back do you have to go to transfer those Gmail emails?
John is apparently there's new regulations that have come out for the state around document retention. And he's looking at that to see, are we covered by it and then for how long? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I don't suspect there's going to be a lot. Because remember now, we use a database system for the Mass Cultural Council. So everything that we do essentially is in their system. Who the grantees are, what the grants are, how much they've been paid, reimbursed, and all that. So there is already pretty good documentation of all of our activities. So I don't know if there's anything else that's relevant, and we'll find out. He's in the process of looking into it.
Redundancy.
Yeah, I think there's some redundancy, and there may be some important files. But again, if somebody applies and they're turned down, there is documentation because we send, notifications of that and the reasons for it. So a lot of this, I don't think there's a lot of activity here that we have that is not already in some existing database.
Now, I had hoped that by the time we sent out the press release to the Daily News and posted it elsewhere, that we would have this resolved, but we didn't, and for reasons we just explained. But that press release was in the paper last week. It's posted at the library, and I think, Jean, I forget a few other places. So it's out there that the Newbury Cultural Council is now accepting grant
It's
applications
also on
with
it's also on the Newbury, the town website.
town website,
Our subsection.
with the old email address, because we just couldn't wait. And so it is what it is, and Bart still has access to that, and so it's gonna be a transition. All right? Anything else on that topic?
Well, on the transition, I just want to say that I did spend some time with Amy, and I do think that I'm able to pick up pretty much what she did in terms of the process of when people request reimbursement, what I need to do in order to get them that reimbursement. And there's a whole series of steps and documentation that needs to be approved. The one thing I don't understand yet, and it's mostly because I just haven't been the treasurer before, is what are the reporting requirements at Mass Cultural Council? As it turns out, there is a meeting and training session this Thursday at 6 that I'll attend. So, and Amy says it's pretty simple, so I'll just go through that.
Do you want to wait until the treasurer update, which is 2 items down, or should we bump that up?
Yeah, well, want me to go through the update?
Yeah, because in this context, we also should talk about what we learned from Eileen last week.
In terms of, I do have that topic of that reimbursement.
Okay, all right, let's,
Oh, okay.
no, let's wait for your treasurer's
Okay,
update.
yeah, I have a few things.
Okay, so fiscal year '23 grant modification requests.
That would have been something that showed up in the email, in the Gmail account, since July 1st.
There wasn't anything, there was none.
There wasn't anything, okay.
Plum Fest cancellation because of Hurricane Lee last weekend. Will that require a modification?
I believe we haven't heard a word, Jean, my best guess is that'll be rolled over until next year.
But that will require the Plum Island people to request it.
Yeah, well, they'll need to, yes, you're right,
They have to initiate the request,
right.
otherwise the money comes back.
Well, no, first of all, the money will come back, but
Right.
Plum, what I meant was that Plum Island will reapply for the grant next year.
Correct.
And they Plum Fest may or may not notify us, oh, by the way, we had to cancel Plum Fest on the 16th, and so you can roll it over. Whether they do or they don't, doesn't really matter, but we know, because we already know that.
Right. It's just the point, we had this discussion because of other things. The rollover can be an issue, because does that mean they get to what, the rollover and a new request, or is it just the rollover?
No, it needs to be a new request.
Right, exactly.
So
Anyways,
that's just,
we'll cover that ground later.
yep. Luckily, or fortunately, I should say, you probably know this, there was some ad hoc Plum Fest on Sunday.
There were.
Yeah, yeah.
They didn't need our money for that.
There are a few bands, there are a few bands who just went out there and played on Sunday. So they had their ad hoc Plum Fest, so which is really heartening because it was so sad to have it be canceled. And then the fact that it was canceled and it wasn't even necessary, it was even more painful. All right, so that means you're up, Bart.
Okay,
Treasurer
so-
update.
Okay, so for fiscal year '23, I guess we're in, there were 16 grants plus Newbury Town Day in our allocation. So we had allocated $7,665. Of the 16 grants, 7 have requested reimbursement, and that's for $2,764. So we're still only about 35% of the money has been requested, and I've submitted for reimbursement for those 7 people, 7 organizations. The one that's outstanding is there is a request for the docents at Newbury Town Day. And
Historic New England.
the Historic New England. And it's for $671. I have it here. And what we had understood to be the case before was that they did not need to have an actual grant, that we could just reimburse them under the auspices of Newbury Town Day, of which we were funding a certain amount of money. And I know that Robin, and you went into this in a lot more detail, and if you want to go into that detail, you can. But I think the bottom line is that the regulations changed a bit, or were a bit confusing, and interpretation of the regulations were unclear, but that that discretionary spending on our part is limited to purely administrative things. Copying, buying pens, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And therefore, that would not be a legitimate payment out of our administrative expenses. However, because we were funding Newbury Town Day, we are able to run it through that account, right? And so it's actually going to be paid by Newbury Town Day.
The town's Newbury Town Day account.
Yes.
The town's, will come out of the town's allocation for Newbury Town Day. Yeah, just to clarify, just a little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
That the misinterpretation of the Massachusetts Cultural Council guidelines was that an LCC initiated event could have X percentage of the overall grant for funding. And that Newbury Town Day did not need to apply for a grant, which actually we already had. So we were through the grant, you were all at that meeting.
Yeah.
We were through the grant, it was wrong, we should have left the grant in, and it would have been a lot cleaner. So now we know that that allocation from the Cultural Council is only for administrative expenses. So paying the docents, reimbursing Historic New England for the docents who now will get paid by Historic New England for their tours of Historic New England properties during Newbury Town Day will be paid for by the town, which funds Newbury Town Day. This also means that there's going to be, this will affect our allocations going forward, the Cultural Council going forward, right? So that's, and it also means that that $671, actually $651, that will now be rolled over. Yeah. Or either rolled over, or I'm not sure, because Eileen, who, by the way, speaking of turnover, Eileen, who retired as our town accountant because her replacement left. Eileen, whom Bart and I met with last week, is actually out of retirement handling this, and thank goodness. Yeah, that's what Bart and I, we said it's been messy. So Eileen luckily was there last week when we were meeting with John, the IT guy, to explain all this, and she's got the history. So she was able to walk us through it. So now we completely get it. And, but this is important because it's, well, I'm sorry, repeating myself. We got that clarified, but now, Bart and I also met last week the lady whose name is Eve, who's coming in so that Eileen can retire. So that's the latest.
Yeah.
That's the latest since last Tuesday.
Let's just say that there's more than other things going on than us. Right? in
Come
their
on.
offices.
There's been a little bit of pain.
Yeah, it's a little bit of pain.
Yeah.
But that's good. Now, I did have a question for you. Did I need to submit this to the town?
No,
It's all taken care of?
it's taken care of.
Good. So we're all set there. So as far, what Amy typically did in the past, which I will do again this year, is remind people who have not submitted their expenses and all the related information to us sometime maybe in October, maybe November, just to get everything in so we can get reimbursement by the end of the year. So that's basically it. Things seem to be working fine. People are submitting their information well and appropriately. So, I mean, it's only a few back and forth, but nothing terrible.
So, clarify, so from your numbers, 16, 7 have, that means with 1, 9, 8 have not received money yet.
That's right, they have not
They have not.
And they
submitted
haven't done
anything
it.
to us.
They haven't submitted anything, have they all done their thing?
I don't think everybody has, but I think some have, and they probably
Yeah,
just
that's
have
what I
not
was
submitted
thinking.
it.
All
But
right,
that,
well, that's their issue, not ours.
that's exactly right.
Okay, I just wanna be, don't wanna,
But we've had that happen in the
Yes, we have.
past,
I
right?
just-
Oh,
And
yeah.
then we just take that money and
it
apply
rolls
it.
over, yeah, we
Yeah.
suddenly have more money to play with. But
Right.
I just wanted to make sure that they, do we have to notify them? Hey, we have your money. you
No, we
know?
don't.
Oh, but I am going to though. I am gonna reach out to everybody, don't worry, I'm gonna reach out to them and say, you know, that basically we're getting towards the end of the year, you know, your grant money will run out, and, please submit, you know, the following information.
We're not just gonna send it to you automatically.
Right.
And
And
we
last year we did this, if you remember, the Theater in the Open had not submitted its information. We went after them, tried to get them to submit it, and it turns out that it was a snafu having to do with their turnover.
Right,
And so, you know, and they were very appreciative, and they got their money, and
right, so.
Thank you.
so the-
And Lloyd, just to clarify that, they don't get anything automatically, because
No.
they need to submit.
I understand
Okay.
that, but some of these, we know that, some of these people, there might be an administrative snafu. Somebody changed over, these are programs, some of these might be, I don't know what all they are, but it's the nice thing, it's the proper thing to do,
We're gonna do it.
to notify.
Yeah.
I just was asking.
yeah, no.
Yeah,
we
that
did
was a
our
really
best.
good question.
Yep, yep.
And Bart's gonna do that, but
Well,
here
I
you've got,
have two questions.
Yeah,
One is, can you tell us how much money is available for fiscal year 2024?
it's 5,600.
that's
Will
from
we,
this,
will we understand what the carryover
The-
is before we review the grants?
We should have a general sense of the
no,
carryover.
no, Bart, excuse me for interrupting. Eileen told us when we met with her last week, remember? Her report, so there are two different things going on here. There's the state allocation, which is $5,600 for fiscal '24. Then there's whatever money we might have left over. And Eileen told us that she's gonna have the annual report done by September 30th, so that we will know, right, Bart?
She might have said that after I left.
Oh, she said that after you, that's, she
I
did.
had to read
She
it
did,
earlier. I
that's
don't
right,
recall
that's
that.
right. So yes, I can report that Eileen said she'll have the report done to us by the 30th of September, at which point we will know what we'll have for fiscal year '24 beyond the 5,600, if indeed there are other grant recipients who have not,
If memory serves me right, I don't remember that we've had a year where we haven't had
Yeah.
a rollover excess, and we've always known what that was. So, it's
Yeah.
Christmas.
yeah, and just as a side note, and I hope I'm not straying off our agenda here, but, well, never mind, you know what, I'm not gonna, I'm gonna say that later,
All right.
all right? So,
So, can I ask who Eileen's what her last name is?
I don't remember, Jean, sorry.
Okay, she was the former accountant though?
She
Former
was a
current.
longtime town accountant, retired a few years ago, was replaced by Lillian, and maybe somebody else in between, I can't remember. And then someone, Tracy or someone, asked Eileen if she could please come back to help. And there's an assistant accountant as well, whose name is Anne.
Okay,
All right, and so we spoke with her briefly as well. But now the good news is that Eve is coming in to replace, so that Eileen can get back to watering her plants. Jean, did you say you had another question?
well, part of it was, the Eileen thing and the September 30th thing. I had thought that, MCC had told us that we had to have an annual, financial statement done by September 30th. But it sounds like the town is completing that.
Yep.
That's correct. That's what, I knew that. I knew that part. Yeah, because we had that discussion last year, that the town accounting is our fiscal statement. Okay, sorry.
No problem.
Okay.
Now, residents survey. One thing that I noticed when I was looking at the town website is this, on the website, front and center, it says, resident survey 2020.
No.
Yes. So, Bart and Minnie spent most of the day for a town day, beginning with the Boy Scout breakfast in
That's right.
Byfield, gathering resident input. Then came out to Spencer Pierce Little Farm, proceeded with the survey. When they finally, that said, a time to go, I said, well, I'll be here for a while, so I will pick up where they left off. So that survey should be pretty complete, not complete, because we aren't ever gonna get everybody, but it started at 8 and probably went through 2 or 3 in the afternoon. So
There-
how many
Oh,
surveys did you get?
51.
Darn good.
51, I have not compiled it yet, I apologize, I just have not done it, but I will. But there are 51, and I think it's a pretty good cross-representation, certainly not random. But the thing is that we got a lot of people from the other parts of the town, which we did not last
Good.
year.
Yeah.
And we also got people of different ages,
Oh,
again,
good.
which we did not last year.
Wasn't the whole senior center.
It was not the whole senior center from Old Town.
Yeah.
And the Boy Scouts didn't give you breakfast.
They did not give us breakfast.
All right, that's, all
They
right,
would
I
have, to
digress.
be fair,
Ah,
they would
they
have.
did.
I'm
Okay.
sure they would.
They were very sweet. Yeah, no, it worked out well. No, it was good. So
Yeah.
we've redesigned it, and so I will compile it and report out in our next meeting.
Do you have to do that manually, Bart?
Yeah, fortunately, it's just the way it's set up, but it's not that complicated.
Well, here's another question for you. Is there, and there was no resident survey during Plum Fest because there was no Plum Fest. Is there a way, or do we want to, or can we discuss, I'm just putting this on the floor, a way to post the survey on the town website? I believe the 2020 survey, I didn't look at it. I don't know if it's the results or if it's actually the survey. But the question for all of you is, do we want to get the survey out and populate it beyond the respondents at Newburytown Day, which is 51?
So I'm sorry.
Via the website?
In any other means. We've
Oh,
had
okay.
long discussions about, yeah.
But having the results before we review grants in November would be helpful.
It will be
So that
done.
we can
It'll be
Okay.
done before that.
factor that in our minds.
Okay.
Um,
But it's only,
It might be too late, and given that we really, don't have a lot of time between now and then, to really sort of do this now. I mean, Plum Fest will continue on, the intent was there to do it, but it seems to me it can be picked up next year as well.
well, we also have previous results and that, things won't change that much. And so I agree with you. I'm not too worried about the time between now and because and November 13th, because how many more are we gonna get? I mean, we have the overall gist of it. So what my thinking was, gee, if it's possible to post it on the town website, who's gonna see it anyway?
I move that we revisit this when we are required to do the survey again.
Every year.
Yes, but when we are required, so something post-granting, we do it, and that, at that time, because you will all have access to the town website and be more up with the technology, you might be better able to answer the question, can you post it on their website?
I think Margaret just seconded.
Do you want
Second,
me to
yeah.
try to take it down? The 2020 version.
Take it down?
Yeah, Gene, you should take a look. My thinking is that that's the results, not
Results.
the actual
It's not
survey
the question,
itself.
it's the results.
Yeah.
I'm-
Okay, I'll take a look, I'm not so sure. I think that has been up there pretty much since it was originally posted as a survey.
Oh, well, maybe you're right then. But I would say that if there's a survey, take it down because it would not be
Yeah. Okay.
used.
We've redone the survey.
I can look into doing that, and we'll find somebody to help out if it's not obvious.
All right, well, Lloyd's motion passed because, well, no,
Seconded.
you
Second.
said,
Yeah.
Margaret seconded it, and we all say, we agree.
Yeah.
Yes?
We did.
Yeah.
We all agree.
We'll
Okay,
revisit
We
it.
all seconded it.
excellent. We all seconded.
It's been seconded.
Yeah. We're all over these parliamentary procedures, all
Indeed we
right,
are.
okay.
All right.
I'm sorry, are you seriously, is it a motion that we want to take down the 2020 survey, is that what we all just approved?
Oh,
Yes.
Yes, we approved the taking down of the thing and that we'll revisit putting it on the town website after we complete this year's grants. Because we can wait till then. Right? That was what we said.
That was unanimously approved?
Correct.
Yes.
That is unanimous.
Oh, my goodness. I forgot you were taking minutes, Jean.
I'm sorry.
No, you're doing it the right way. I'm glad we have somebody paying attention to parliamentary procedures around here. All right, next item on the, next item on the agenda, actually, while we're on that topic of parliamentary procedures, I attended back in the spring session on rules for open public meetings and public comment with our town council as the incoming chair, which was interesting, to say the least. And I actually have the instructions that I brought with me, if anyone's interested in taking a look. But essentially, just to encapsulate what Lisa said, and this is from the state, that if we had anyone come into our meetings who wanted to publicly comment, we as a council can make the rules. I'm paraphrasing, just so that we know. We can make the rules. We don't have to allow public comment. Of course, public comment is good. We want public input, right? But there are governance issues that we can decide ahead of time. Just putting it out there, just to let you know, because especially because we were talking about parliamentary procedures. But hardly anybody, I don't think anybody's ever come to one of our meetings. But
We're
you never
packing the
know.
hall.
Yeah. Okay, just as an FYI, and I have it then with me if anybody would like to take a look. All right.
But that has to be done before the meeting convenes. It has to be decided.
Yes, yes. And I actually didn't bring it up because it was clear that no one was going to be here. However, if someone had been here, I would have brought it up.
Okay.
And it's maybe something that we can talk about at a later date, not in this meeting. All right, now, next item on the agenda is report on Newbury Town Day. And anybody who's watching this recording and doesn't not know, I am co-chair of Newbury Town Day, so there's a substantial crossover there. So my report is that Newbury Town Day this year on August 26th accomplished all of our goals and more. We had activities literally all over town, including Plum Island, which was a major objective we did not accomplish last year. And that's largely because the Support the Pink House organization stepped up to involve Plum Island, which was brilliant. We had much more increased engagement, and literally hundreds of people attended. And one of the things that we wanted to accomplish from the outset was to help people, residents of our town, learn more about their own town. And that's what happened. We also had, as Bart said a few minutes ago regarding the survey, we had representation from all over town, all ages, all over residents from every neighborhood, which was a major objective, and also people from other areas. Because we knew what money we had to work with this year, which we didn't last year, that enabled us to, you saw the yard signs. We had 100 yard signs all over town, and that was a matter of having them to begin with, also having volunteers who put them up. And that was what you all saw. So, and then we also had tremendous support from the Daily News, and there were 3, maybe even 4 articles in the Daily News. So those, we were really quite thrilled. So that is essentially my report on Newbury Town Day. I brought the Newbury Town Day map and schedule for all of you, so you can see my remarks are borne out by the reality there. And those are copies for you. And the other thing that's really important to note is that the business model, I call it a business model, worked in that we had a very small, you have
I
a,
can drop this off.
oh, okay,
Yeah,
you can drop it off?
for Jean.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, drop it off.
Or you can, it's also, you download it from the website. but that's just, it's downloadable from the website, but
Oh,
that's a
okay.
copy for you.
Jean, would you like me to drop off the Newbury Town Day map and activities for you, or you want to take it off the website?
I actually got a lot of the detail already off
Oh.
the newspaper article that followed
Great.
up on the 31st.
I know, but you can
so I
see
can
the
go
cool
ahead.
map
Thank you.
schedule, which was, by the way, a big hit. It was a struggle to get it done, I won't bore you with that. But now that it's done, I made an executive decision to have Minuteman Press do it because it was way too complicated to ask a volunteer. And so that's what we did. But now Minuteman Press has this for the future, so it doesn't have to be such a struggle to get this done. You can see with all the detail and getting the map right, it was
Another
really
thing to
complicated.
build upon,
Excuse me?
another thing to build upon.
Yes, exactly right. So a lot of the templates in place.
Yeah, and it's
Go-
really
going
nice to
forward.
support them. They're a local.
Absolutely. Oh, they've been
Family-owned
tremendous.
business.
Absolutely.
And they,
Yep.
I've had things done, particularly for Newbury Town Day last year,
Mhm.
and it's just wonderful.
Yes, and Margaret, by the way, the Open Artist Studios that you initiated,
How'd that go?
Heidi actually took that on, which is
Right.
not her job, because what I
Yeah.
started to say, and I interrupted myself, was that, that the business model is that you have a very small group of Uber organizers who mainly herd the cats, coordinate everything and do the communications. And just, signage and all that, all of the aspects of logistics of running a big event like that. And then there are individual activity leaders. So it worked the same way as last year, but this year we
Okay.
had more individual activity leaders. So, but Heidi, even though she was co-chair, she wanted to take over what you did last year, which is the Open Artist Studios.
Yeah.
And even though the weather was questionable, right up until today, I knew it was gonna be beautiful, but nobody else did. And so it was questionable. There were a few people who didn't show up, but I think we had, I remember this last week, but I've forgotten now, I'm sorry. There were maybe 11 or 12
Good,
artists,
okay,
and they
very
were
good.
all, from what Heidi said, very pleased. So it was at Spencer Pierce Little.
Yeah.
So we really did centralize the activities at Spencer Pierce Little Farm, which was really easier for everybody. But of course, it was all over town as well, depending on what the activity was.
Right.
Right, so we had stuff.
Also a very good parking facility there.
Although, I have to tell you, since I'm doing the report about Newbury Town Day, last year, we had volunteers helping with parking. There was nothing for them to do. This year, we did not have volunteers helping with parking. Of course, this year we needed them. First of all, Leisha Greco, who was volunteering at the welcome table, had to call the police and ask for an officer to come down because some people had boxed other people's cars in.
No.
Then when we got that straightened out,
Oh, no.
yeah, but that partially, it was because, and you know how big that field is, right?
Yeah.
Then Lynn, my husband, who was on the way down to White Rose Canoe, who had an open house, to
Right.
deliver those maps and schedule, got waylaid because there was clearly a need for people to help folks find parking spaces because it was full.
Wow.
That
Wow.
whole
Wow, that
field
whole field.
was full.
That's
And
great.
people were coming at
That's
the same
really
time.
good.
Partially it was because of the ball game, which was really well attended.
Yeah.
But also, at noontime, the artists started from, the artists were 11 to 2.
Okay.
The kids' corner started at noon. So people were specifically coming for kids' corner. And so that time between noon and 1 o'clock was just a mad scene. And so, and did you all hear about I have to tell you this. There I am, it's about noontime, and I'm at the welcome table, and we're selling t-shirts and cookbooks and tote bags and answering questions. And a Newbury police car pulls up, and out hops Patty Fisher, our chief. And right after Patty Fisher hops out, there's the Riddler from Batman with his green suit with his question marks. And Patty, so that we would know what was going on, said that the Riddler, who was her husband, what a good sport, he had been making mischief all over town in the morning. But soon, he was going to get into real mischief. Just at that moment, another cruiser pulls up and out hops a Newbury police officer. And he walks up to the Riddler, who was in the process of knocking over the Jenga game. He takes out his handcuffs and he says, "Sir, I'm going to have to arrest you." He snaps on the left handcuff, and then he asks a young man if he would like to assist. So the young man, who's about 9 years old, slaps on the other handcuff, and Officer Valonis hauls the Riddler off, throws him into the cop car, takes him down to the police station, just at 12:30, where he books him, puts him in a jail cell, just in time for the police station tours.
Oh.
Everything, so all the kids coming to tour
Fantastic.
the police station get to see the Riddler in the jail cell. It was perfectly timed, and I'm telling you, it was hilarious.
Oh, I
And to
bet.
have our police department all behind what we were doing and participating in it,
It's
brought
huge.
tears to my
Yeah,
eyes.
that's huge.
It was huge.
Yeah.
So it was an all, and
That's so good.
our support staff, even though it's their, the personnel changes also tremendously supportive, just in a background way, and it's not their job,
Yeah.
to do that, but
Very good.
they were really, it really helped make the whole thing happen.
Good.
So
Good.
that is my Newbury County report.
Wow.
Um, And let's see, is there anything, the other thing I wanted to tell you that is germane is that we decided that, we, meaning Heidi and I, determined that we actually did not need the grants that we had received from Georgetown and Salisbury Cultural Councils, because we just didn't need money. Because the town came up with enough money. And we're doing a lot of publicity about how cookbook sales and some activities that were fundraisers at Newbury Town Day had raised it $2,000 plus for the food pantry. So it didn't seem right to be saying, oh, we raised all this money, but we're taking money. So I emailed Georgetown and Salisbury and said, really appreciate your support, but we are not going to. So that goes back to what we were talking about before. So now they know
They have
that they
that
can
much
vote,
more.
they can, so for their voting meeting, they'll know that they have that extra
Yeah.
money that they won't use. So they were very appreciative, because I don't think people do that, and in our experience, right? So it was really helpful for me to be wearing two hats.
Yeah, very
So-
good. Great.
Okay, any comments or questions on that?
That
No?
sounds good.
Sounds good.
Yeah, we were really.
Did the
thrilled.
Riddler get out?
Keep
Did the
out
Riddler
that.
get out of jail?
He's still in there.
Yeah, I think he's probably still in there. I mean, he knocked
Home
over
in
the
time for
gym.
dinner.
I think that's punishable by a year in jail, though.
Oh, no. No.
All right.
But-
Is there a date set for next year or not?
Oh, funny you should ask. Funny you should ask. Actually, I would check my email, except that you're on my phone. So, Historic New England. Now, having the activities at Spencer Pierce Little Farm, so many of them, and there typically is enough parking, was clearly a good decision. And next year, expectations will be set that there will be activities at Spencer Pierce Little Farm. So that's a really important keystone, the same as it was last year. That said, we heard that August 24th is booked, which is last year, it's leap year, so it's 2 days. So August 24th, which is that Saturday before Labor Day, is booked for a wedding. So I have asked Spencer Pierce Little Farm to please send a contract for the previous Saturday, which is August 17th, because that date clearly worked really quite well. I heard back from her, but she still hasn't done it. She probably just slipped her mind.
What's
But
a few
I
extra
just
wedding
emailed her about that today. I followed up today. Sorry, Lloyd?
What's a few extra wedding guests?
I know, I know. Well, that's the funny, yeah, we're clearly gonna have to have volunteers to help with parking. Next year, there's not two septuagenarians out there in the sun helping people find parking. Because you know who else helped, and I forgot to tell you this, the other person who helped Lynn with that unscripted endeavor was Jeff Walker.
Oh,
Yeah.
So we had, and that's, I didn't even say that before, we actually had all of the select board members were also, in one way, shape, or form, supportive of Newbury Town Day.
Good.
So, yeah, and because, yeah, anyway, yes, they
Raise your hands, getting votes. All right, anyways. What is there, what's the next thing? on-
So August 17th, and I'm hoping that she'll get that
Oh,
contract.
confirm the
ASAP.
next meeting, that's what I thought.
No, additional business as needed.
Any additional meeting?
Jeannie?
I have no additional business.
Okay, so now we're talking our next meeting.
Now we're talking our next meeting. Our next meeting is, this is our voting meeting, isn't it, on November
Yes.
13th?
The next meeting is our voting.
Yep, and
That's
that's,
the big one.
and that's, we're all set with just posting and The agenda items will be approved minutes from this meeting, correct? And whatever else additional business as needed, and it's our voting meeting, right, Jean?
That sounds correct. Yeah, it's not a meeting we want to add too many other discussions to, I'm sure.
No.
What
So,
is the date on that, Robin?
13th of November.
It's Monday, November 13th at 5:30 PM,
Oh, I have it.
Yeah,
same place.
yeah.
As usual.
Now, the question I have on that meeting is, in the past, we've had oh, wait a second now. We've had a spreadsheet, but now we can just post the Smart Simple. That's the question. How are we gonna, in the past, we've all been able to see
Right, Amy put
all the
together.
grants,
Mhm.
because Amy put it in a spreadsheet. I am Excel challenged.
I actually was able to do it.
You were?
Yeah, and I don't know if she used mine or she did her own, but it's not hard to do.
All right, that would be excellent.
Well,
So
yeah,
that way
so
we can put it up
helpful, yeah.
here. And then we had
Right.
some, we were at the, last time we were at the library, although no,
No, we
we were here. Last year we were here.
Yeah.
And we'll,
Right up
we'll
there.
post it right up
It was
there.
supposed to be right up there. Okay,
Yeah.
so we have the technical capabilities to do that?
Oh, yeah, we had it all up on the screen.
Yeah,
But somebody needs to know how to do that, and that's not me. Because Amy was able to do stuff that I don't know.
It's,
I just need-
So
I-
Bart's
I-
gonna, so Bart,
I could use their stuff, but I think we can just use our.
all right, so you know what, we can stop recording. We can,
all right,
Adjourn.
do we move to adjourn?
we move to adjourn.
I can do it.
Aye, second?
Second.
All right, we move to adjourn, okay.
Jean, move to adjourn?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
All right,
Okay.
Thank
Jean
you.
says aye.
good night.
all
All
right.
right, thanks, everybody.